What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to My Chess Journey, episode number 32. I know it's been a long time. It's been about a week, a little bit over a week since my last video. I apologize for that. Stuff is just starting to get more busy right now in my life, so it's kind of hard for me to make a video. But we are continuing the quest to get to 1,000. In the last episode, we did take an L and had to fall back under the 700s. But in all honesty with you guys, I'm not worried about it. I've been putting in a lot of time and effort on my other accounts that I could actually show you guys real quick here. And on this account, I am actually a 780. So I know I can beat these guys in the 700s coming up here. And this just goes to show you guys I'm not cheating, obviously. I got 185 wins, 159 loss, 18 draws on this other account of mine. My best win was actually this morning against someone who is ranked 782. And you can see by the accuracy, I really didn't even play that good. And obviously, I'll even pull up the big board here for you guys so you can see it in more detail. I'm not winning every game. Like, I get losses, you know, but I've been on a good streak lately that's kind of helped propel me. And you can see I'm playing games multiple times a day. I'm putting in, you know, somewhere between 3 to 10 games a day. I'm playing pretty consistently. I've played like 4 or 5 days in a row, maybe even longer than that. So yeah, like you guys can tell, my numbers, at least on this account, you know, is going up, 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 up. So hopefully I can do the same thing with this account that we are following here on the YouTube series. And with that being said, like we always say around here, what if we win, lose, or draw? It's all about playing good chess and having fun. So let's get on into it. And we're going to be starting off playing black. So you know we're going to be trying to do the Scandinavian defense if we can. We do get the perfect setup for it. We love to see that. Hopefully our opponent will take the bait. If they do not, we will likely just take back here. I'm okay with this. Maybe I could have set up a little bit better. Who really knows? I think we'll just block them in here. That's probably the best principled move. We will develop our knight, hoping to put some pressure on the queen, but of course we need to block in that other knight for moving. So we will do this and see how the game kind of develops from this point on. Now the question becomes, do we want to take... We know the queen's going to come out if we do. The other option is we can retreat. His knight would come out to here. We don't, on g5, we really don't have a defense for that. So I'm not really in the favor. I kind of just want to trade the pieces. I'm sure the queen's going to come out, or he'll take it. Yep, okay, queen. Yep, queen comes out. I'm going to actually put our bishop here on c5. We have the option to still pin this knight, but we can also still keep developing. And if they want to take, that's totally cool. We could do that. I think I'll actually develop our other knight in defense of this one here on f6. As our opponent now decides to castle, which, to be honest, I'm okay with that. We put the bishop here. We apply pressure on the knight. We can always bring our queen out to a5 here and looking to get checkmate on the king. Well, actually, it wouldn't be checkmate because the king could move up to d2, but it would put some significant pressure. So that's kind of what we're hoping to do, because like I said, this knight here is double protected, so we're not super concerned about that. Let me just think here for a minute. If he takes, take back, I will push this pawn to protect this bishop. Okay, we take back. That's now blocked in. Totally fine. We have the option to now pressure this bishop, see what he does. His only safe option would be retreating to d2, unless he really wants to trade, which we can trade, but... And we still have the option as well to move our queen over to this B and A file. We kind of want to get our rooks in the game here. He takes the bait, so to speak. We trade out there, trade out pieces. Totally fine with that. Let's see. So he can bring the queen here, attack this piece, and check us. He could also try to target this pawn. So we're in a little bit of a catch-22 here. I think the most... Let's see. So if we protect this, he takes the pawn, right? He can't go there, can't go there. He could take our... Well, we would move our rook. And if he takes the rook, we would take back with the knight. If he takes the knight, we would take with the queen. And if he goes here, that would be an option for him, to be honest with you. So we don't have super great choices here. We could try to trade out. If we put the knight here, this would defend the pawn. If he takes, then we could bring our queen here and just do a queen trade. I don't hate that idea, so we'll see how it goes here. I don't like the other option of him just... Yeah, this is the one thing that could be tricky. He could get the knight here. But that would give us the opportunity then to castle. Yep. And we can castle here. So it's kind of a risky thing. Not super happy about it, but it is what it is. I feel like we were either going to lose our knight there, or we were either going to lose a rook. So, alright, so queen, no, queen could go there. He could just take the pawn. We'll go here with the rook. If he wants to take the pawn, he can take the pawn. And homie just hung his queen, so let's go! Woohoo! I was hoping he would actually go in for that, and he did. So now we can just go into straight attack mode here, line up our queen and our king, and this is going to be checkmate and game over. We're about to win, baby. Yep, that's about the only play he can do. And we will also line up our rook here and just proceed to beat the living crud out of this guy. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir, skis. Kind of thinking how I want to play this. Let's bring the queen up here to b4. That was actually super clutch that he went after that pawn with the queen. To be fair, I didn't even notice that I didn't even notice that he might that my queen was lined up with that pawn. Initially, that wasn't even a thought in my head. So, kind of nice to see. We could check him, but that's stupid. We could go here too, put pressure on the rook, which I actually like this move. I like this move a lot, because if he goes c2, we take it for free. Yep, he goes there, we can go here, and I do believe, well, he could go back and forth with checkmate and whatnot. Yeah, let's just go here, give the check, see what happens. Yep, he goes there, that's fine. We move up the pawn. No big deal. This game should be over. 4, maybe 5 moves, I would hope. Yep, we take. Checkmate. We win, baby. And we get 11 points off of that win. So we are back up in the 700s, 705. I'm glad that we won that, because if we would have lost, it would have been 12 points off of our score, and that is no bueno. So, hopefully we get to see the game review here. It was kind of risky moving that knight, but he took the bait. You know, I didn't see it at the time, but he took it, so that was good. We played with a 70.1 accuracy. I'm sure the one blunder that we had is probably that knight that we gave up, but I actually did a move similar to that earlier today in my other game that I played on the separate account. And our opponent played with a 56.9%. 0 brilliant moves from either of us. We each had 1 great move. 11 best moves for us, 7 for them. 2 mistakes by us, 3 by them. 1 miss by us, 2 by them. We each had 1 blunder. We played like a 1000, they played like a 400. Opening accuracy for us was 88.1. Love to see that. Their opening accuracy was 85.1, so very close. Middle game, 61.2% for us, which is kind of usual. Last couple of games, though, we're usually kind of in the 70s, so that's a little bit low for us as of recent. Opponent middle game accuracy was 37.2, so we really crushed him in the middle game. And we will take a look here. Principled, whenever you get the Scandinavian, or when you get the option, if they go king, if they go e4, do Scandinavian, that's what I like. And then if they don't take back, it's usually pretty principled to take their piece. Here, we're just trying to lock them in, because I was trying to figure out, should I develop the knights? Should I just bring out the bishop? I was trying to figure out a good way to do it. I didn't want to move up 1 square with the pawn, because then I would block my bishop in, so I figured moving up 2 is best, just to kind of lock his pawn in place. He makes his move. I'm going here, trying to develop pieces simply, also to put pressure on the queen. I can bring my white squared bishop to g4 and have the knight here on f6, protecting it. That's always a good move. Here, I always have a nice counter to this move from now on, bringing the pawn up from c7 to c6, blocks the knight from going pretty much every direction, except for 1 available option on a4. But most of the time, my opponents never go to a4. I rarely ever see them go a4. So just, yep, simple stuff. And this, like I said during the game, I was debating whether if it was worth it to take here, or if I should actually retreat back to e6 and still have a pretty good view. But if I went back to e6, his knight here can move up to g5, potentially threaten our piece, and we really don't have anything to defend it. I didn't want to bring my queen up to defend it. So we figured we'd risk it and take with the bishop there, and we figured the queen would take back too. Sometimes they will take with the pawn. If they had taken with the pawn, that actually would have been pretty interesting to see how that could have developed. A lot of good stuff. It might have actually been harder had they gone with the pawn capturing there. We bring our dark squared bishop over to c5. I like making this move. Sometimes I do bring it out to b4 to pin the knight to the king, but then they'll bring out this pawn, and we'll have the exact same scenario we saw on the other side play out over here. So by leaving the bishop here on c5, I have access to continue to move up to this square, still threaten the knight, or continue to move over to b4 eventually, and kind of proceed from there. Here, normally in the past, what I've had to do is sometimes I'll have the bishop or the queen kind of defend this piece, because I really don't like doubling up pawns. That's one of the things you want to try your best not to do. So before I made the pressure move to move the pawn up from h7 to h6, I wanted to make sure we had somebody to defend that piece. I'm glad that I saw the move here of bringing the knight from b8 over to d7 to properly defend that one. Him castling is fine, it's whatever. Here, I don't really care the computer didn't like it or not. It puts pressure on the knight, and that caused him to move it back, which we love to see. I did have to kind of pause here and think for a minute what I wanted to do next. Initially, I thought about just taking this pawn on b2, because then he would have taken back with the king probably, and then I could have brought my queen out to b6 and checked him. But I don't know exactly what would have ensued from doing that, so I held off, and instead I wanted to fortify, protect the bishop in case he did take it. He did. That was considered a miss, and by doing so, not only could we take back, but we've officially locked in these pawns. Unless he wants to try and bring up his pawn on c2 to c3 to try and get us to take. But by locking these pawns in position, it prevents the queen from kind of moving around, and it prevents his bishop, his white squared bishop, from moving around as well. Not to mention his rook is kind of frozen in place too. So here, him moving the king doesn't matter. At this point, I felt we were safe enough to pressure that bishop. They usually always make that move then to take, which is fine. We were protected. We took back. And here we took some time again. We talked about potential options. We knew he was most likely coming for this pawn to check me. My initial thought was to bring the queen over to e7 to protect the pawn, and also potentially to defend in case he were to go after this pawn here on g7. But I figure we'll pressure him, and like I said before I started doing the recap, this was our one blunder, which I'm okay with. Sometimes you have to sacrifice pieces in order to make things open up or seem to be open, which was the case. So here we offer a queen trade. We offer a fair queen trade. He denies it. Does the right thing by taking the free knight. He did do the right thing. And then our next move was to safely castle, because we're still on the idea of trying to get his king checkmated here off of like the b file. That's still the plan I was thinking the whole time. Then he goes here, goes here to d5. I assumed that he would probably take this pawn, because it wouldn't make sense for him to go after the pawn here on f7 being defended by the rook and the queen. And I also figured, well, he might just be going for a diagonal attack too on the pawn on b7. So I wanted to get my rook out of the way. That's why I brought it here to threaten the queen, and also the queen wouldn't be able to take this pawn then. And usually in games that I've played where it's a similar setup like this, not necessarily exactly like this, but more often than not, people do usually just then take this pawn, which is fair. And to be fair, I totally forgot that my queen was lined up here after I made this move. I was just trying to protect this pawn and keep my rook safe. And sure enough, he made his second blunder, or maybe that was his first one, I don't know. And he did take the pawn, which was awesome. And because we locked up his pawns earlier, this one is now free, but this one's still locked up from when we took his knight. With after he took our bishop, we took back with the pawn. He can't do anything about it. So now we get this free queen, and of course he is, I don't know what this move was really, maybe just a developing move. Then we try here to perform a battery with our queen. Of course they see it and do a simple defense there. We're just bringing the rook over to apply more pressure here. He moves this up 2 squares. I didn't understand this move. My response to this was maybe to go to a6 and try to just get him this way with the a file. But then I noticed that b4 is indeed open. So I figured this would be a nice little way to sneak in here. And I'm also still defended by this pawn. This pawn is low-key the MVP of this game, aside from my queen, obviously. Here, I get why he's doing this, just trying to defend this file. And here we bring up the pawn. This move, my thought process was, if I keep pushing the pawn, he's most likely going to have to take it, or he'll move it forward one space, and then I can take with the rook. And actually, now that I say that, because my rook is on the b file, he wouldn't be able to take back because it would be purposely opening up his king to a check. So me pushing the pawn would have been fine, actually. Him moving the king here, I think, was a big mistake because that literally backs you into a corner. Here, I thought about we can't go here and check him. We can't do that. He'll take with the rook, we'll take back with the pawn, and then his king will kill our pawn before we can promote it. So I wanted to move the queen here to d2 to put pressure on the rook. He moves it over. That's the correct move. Then we just give a simple check here. And the only move he can do is to defend with the rook. At this point now, what I actually... I thought about going here to c1, but then he would just go on back and forth with the rook. Didn't want to do that. So I moved the pawn up again, trying to see if that would force him to take. Sure enough, he took, he bid on it. And after that, I thought about bringing the rook from b8 up to b2 here. But I'm glad I paused, because then I realized, hey, I can just take back with the queen, and he's boxed in. He can't take back. My rook is defending my queen. So I'm glad I took that extra second to think that over. And yeah, we turned a risky position here. Oh, this isn't the one. We turned a risky position here into an awesome checkmate, in my opinion, by sacrificing that knight. So, with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm glad we're back in the 700s. Like I showed you guys with my other account, I'm at 780, I think, with that other account. That's my all-time highest score. So I feel confident. I know I can beat these guys. It's not going to be easy, but I know I can do it. I know I can definitely push my way into the 800s. And I hope you guys will stick around, and I hope that I can show it to you guys so we can all enjoy it and have a great time and see some cool chess. So yeah, I'll get out of here. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in episode 33.